Hey there, I am Sarah Madras of Sarah Madras Coaching, and I am on the mentor committee of LaunchHollySprings. And today I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Tory Hendrix. She is a graduate of cohort 2 from spring of 2019. So Tory, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and share your launch experience. So please tell us a little bit about your business.
Absolutely. So I am a licensed acupuncturist, Acupuncture Wellness Connection, right in downtown Holly Springs in the Village Center condos, and um, launched my own practice in 2015 after having worked for somebody for a long, long time, and quickly realized, well, I love acupuncture deeply. I did not know a lot about business. And so that was what led me to join Launch Cohort 2.
Awesome. And how has your business evolved since graduating from Launch?
Yep. So I had a very few key takeaways from Launch. It really helped me to get organized. It helped me to kind of map out my business, like my short and my long-term goals, and really get my financial piece in order, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but in 2020, when everything went sideways and COVID shut everything down, and like having my money in order really saved my business, because I was able to know what my expenses were and shut off anything that wasn't absolutely critical to keeping the lights on and the doors open. And it really helped me to apply for the PPP loan, because everybody was like scrambling to get that in, but I had my paperwork and I was organized and I was ready to go. So I got that. And then when it came time to get that forgiven, again, I was organized, I was ready. So Launch just really helped me to be cohesive and like think of my long-term game plans.
Gotcha. And because of that organization, because you had the finances in order and you had your money dates, and where did you learn that during the launch program? Was it both during the program? Was it mentorship? How did the classroom and the mentorship kind of marry each other?
It was definitely both. I think the way the launch program is with like the modules and like the, learning and having the support of my cohort. Like I definitely learned, we'll say like the how to do it, but then the mentor really helped me to apply it, right? Because it's like learning something and hearing it, but then actually having to do it in reality was a different thing. And so for me, having the mentorship was just as critical, because she could take me by the hand and be like, well, this is the next step and this is how you're going to implement it. And then as you hit these roadblocks, this is how you problem solve and you work through it. So the mentorship is definitely crucial to support what you're kind of in the classroom learning, so you can really apply it. And it's like, you're not just a sinking ship that's floating around. You're like, no, you actually have to do these things now. You actually have to implement them. And the mentor helps you to do that and to overcome the obstacles as you go through it.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is that the classroom shows you the what and the how, and then, or like talking the talk, and the mentorship actually helps you walk the walk and kind of that accountability and putting it to action.
I will say it's definitely the accountability, because if you know you're going to meet with your mentor in 2 weeks and you had like these assignments and you don't do them, then you're wasting your time with your mentor. And so you never want to like let somebody else down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely having that accountability. And same with my cohort members, is like we became a very tight knit little team, and we always rooted for each other, but would also hold each other accountable and like call each other out of like, hey, you're playing a little small there, or you could do this, or just sharing ideas and having that conglomeration of ideas, I think was really important.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. That collaboration and that, beehive mindset. Love it.
Yeah, definitely.
So what have been some of your biggest wins that have happened in your business as a result of working with Launch?
Yep. So I'd say I've had two really big wins since 2019. One of my like long-term goals was always to own a brick and mortar. I have a brick and mortar business, and it was always this like pie in the sky dream of like, oh, I'd love to own something in Holly Springs, but it never seemed attainable at all. And I had no idea how that was going to happen. But again, I had my money in order. And so every month I just saved a little bit for the day that maybe that would happen. And in 2020, my landlords ended up moving out of state. And, when they told me so I could update my rent check, I threw out to them, hey, if you ever want to sell, let me know. And I didn't think anything would come of it. But to my surprise, a couple, months later, they came back and they're like, hey, we want to sell, but they also owned another unit upstairs for me. And they're like, but we're only going to do it if we can, offload both at once. We don't want to manage either of them. You got to buy them both. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, even though that was my dream, I freaked out a little bit. But again, I had the training from Launch. I had a connection with a banker that really helped me through that. I had a connection with a real estate attorney. Again, people I had met through Launch they shared their expertise with me, and they just helped me walk through that process, and also helped me to see it instead of something scary and risky. They helped me see it as an investment in my long-term future. And they were just like, this gift horse isn't coming around twice. If you don't jump on it, like there's 100 people behind you that will. So just do it. We'll help you. It's going to be fine. So I not only bought one commercial property, I bought 2 in one, and it has been incredible. And yes, it's just, every time I think about it, I just get a little giddy that like now I have an investment in my family's future that I wouldn't have had really without Launch, knowing some of those key people that could help me with that process. And then my other big win has been when I started out, it was just me. I've hired my first admin person to really help support me in my business so I can get a little bit out of the mud and work more on the business, not in the business. And then definitely looking to grow my team so I can just help more people in the community.
I love it. I love it. And what I love most is it sounds like it's kind of like keeping it in the family, right? Like
sure.
The banker that you use, the business attorney that you use, those were connections that you had through LaunchHollySprings. And so even though you graduated, those resources and supports are still available to you and helped you to be able to see what you thought was too big and unattainable. They showed you like, hey, this can happen. It can happen now, and it can be a benefit to not just you and your family, but the community of Holly Springs in general. So.
Oh, for sure. Because without some of their expertise, I don't think I would have necessarily made that leap. But again, because of Launch, I had all these resources, and I know I can reach out to the Launch team anytime, and they're going to help me if they're able to. If they have the answer for me, or they'll point me in the right direction. So again, having those connections has been invaluable, and it also helps me stay more connected to the community. Because I think when I'm in my business, I'm just here working, but then I'm like, oh, this person's doing that and they're doing this, and I should go to that marketing thing, and I'll network there because I know people now. Like I know people in the community.
Yes. And in entrepreneurship, that's so important to not, because entrepreneurship can be very isolating. It can be very lonely, and we can try to be doing everything on our own. And realizing, wait, I always have this community around me that's supporting me and making my life easier and showing me things can happen that I never even imagined could happen at this point. So
for sure.
Love it. If you had one thing to say to incoming Launch people or, Launch graduates, things like that, what would be your piece of advice?
Oh, my number one piece of advice is to stay open to feedback, because I think as an entrepreneur, at least for me, I had like a mindset of like what I wanted and where I was going, but it was really important for me to hear feedback from my cohort members and from my mentor and, from Bob and from the Launch team of like, think about this. And the more open I stayed to all the feedback, like the better my results were versus like, this is the way I'm going and this is how it's going to be. So just be open to feedback and be open to pivoting too. Like sometimes you might just have to adjust, and the more open you are to that, I think the more things that can expand for you and faster.
Yeah. One of the things I think is so interesting about being a business owner is that we have the options of and so many options of where do we want our work home to be? Where do we want to put roots as business owners? So with all the options of, Fuquay and Apex and Cary and Raleigh and, Morrisville, like literally everything is within 20, 30 minutes, all of those options available to you. What is the best about being and creating? Because you put down roots in Holly Springs. You picked Holly Springs to be your work home. So what do you love most about having Holly Springs be the one that you picked?
Yep. So I'm like madly in love with Holly Springs because it is booming. Don't get me wrong. So it's growing a lot, but for me, it still has that small town feel because, again, I walk into the bank and they know me by name. Like I walk into OSHA across the street, they know me by name. Like I can go to the other local businesses and, we can easily start talking because we're both entrepreneurs. So I feel like the accessibility and the camaraderie in Holly Springs is like unparalleled. Whereas for me, Raleigh, I'd be a small fish and I wouldn't feel connected. But Holly Springs, I feel like I can be connected and also contribute to the community because I can get to these people a lot easier and get my message out and I can help more people.
Yep. I wholeheartedly agree. As someone who started in Raleigh, I wholeheartedly agree. Because as soon as I could get to Holly Springs, I ran and was like, this is my home.
Yes.
For all of the reasons that you said. So completely agree. It's the best place to create your work home, your family life. I love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, Tory, I know you're a very busy person with lots of clients coming in to get, to feel refreshed and get acupuncture. So thank you so much again for taking the time to chat with me today. We appreciate everything that you have done within the community and with the clients that you serve within the community. You're having an impact on people and fellow business owners. And we just want to say thank you for that.
Well, and thank you to Launch because again, you guys definitely helped me and all those businesses and the cohorts coming behind me. Like, I'm just excited to see what you guys do next. So thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Thanks.